Hey, what's up, everyone? We're your hosts, Grant Cohn and Jack Hammer. And the 49ers just made their 53-man roster official, made their final cuts. Jack and I are going to go through it position by position and give our thoughts on who made it, who didn't, and our general opinions about that position in general. That's why they call it general opinions. Jack, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing, Grant?
I'm doing really good. Let's start with the quarterbacks. I was about to lose my freaking mind, Jack, if Nate Sudfeld made this team. I was going to lose it, but he didn't.
But the only reason I thought that he might make it was because of the finger injury to Trey Lance.
Me
And
too.
that
Me
was the
too.
only reason that
Me
was
too.
behind that.
I thought he was definitely going to make this team. They gave him $250,000. Trey Lance got the finger issue. I thought he was in. I mean, I don't know if he's been to Cabo, but if he was, then that was going to be the clincher. But he's not. The Niners made the right decision. Thank goodness, because he's not good enough. Whether or not they need three quarterbacks, he's just not good enough. CJ Beathard was better than Nate. I'm sorry to come down so hard. You chose to be a professional athlete. I'm just saying you're not one of the best quarterbacks, NFL caliber. Sorry, Jack.
Yeah, no, CJ Beathard would have been a better choice as the third quarterback over Sudfeld, but I think that's part of the reason why they have him. I think they gave him that $250,000 deal with the expectation that this was going to happen.
Yeah,
And,
and
that, and
look, dude, come to our practice squad. You're from Modesto. You can see your parents. They would love to have you here.
yeah,
You could go to
it,
dinner on Friday.
exactly, and that's the whole thing behind getting rid of Josh Rosen when they did, because Rosen's a
Yeah.
better quarterback than Nate Sudfeld, even with the struggles that he had in San Francisco.
I want to talk about the quarterbacks for a little bit because we were talking about them on Twitter today, and it's a quarterback topic, and why not? I think I was going back to that quote that Kyle had from before the draft, where he said, ideally you want a quarterback who throws like Drew Brees and runs like Lamar Jackson. And it would just occur to me like maybe he was being literal and he really meant two quarterbacks. Because everyone's like, well, yeah, of course you want a quarterback who can do all that. But he now kind of has both. I mean, he got the quick release. Jimmy is like a very poor man's Drew Brees, and Trey Lance could be kind of like Lamar Jackson. Anyway, maybe this was his plan all along. Once he decided that it was going to be Trey Lance, I want to go with two quarterbacks this year because to me, I know we argued about this, but I don't think Lance ever really was given a fair chance to compete. I feel like Kyle had this plan all along. I want to use you like this year, and we'll develop you later on. You can free to disagree with me and explain why.
No, there's definitely a possibility of what you're saying being the case. I know I saw something similar to that earlier. I think it might have been last night or this morning.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of talked about that scenario,
Mm-hmm.
and so I can understand that. I do disagree with Lance not getting a fair shot. I think he was given a shot, and I understand. I understand that it was limited reps, but part of the reason it was limited was because it was of his mistakes,
Mm-hmm.
of him not hitting the throws that were there, and so that caused those drives to with the starters to not go as far as they possibly could have.
Yeah.
When you're in that position, you've got to take it. And when you get those chances, you've got to make the most of them. And I just don't feel like he did. And that doesn't mean that he's a bad quarterback or
you got to take the title from the champion. You got to take the title from the champion. Yeah,
exactly. And it's not even like Jimmy Garoppolo is all that, or I'm even saying that. It's just that he didn't make the most of those situations. He didn't go out there and in order to do that, to take that spot over going into week one, I think he needed to go out and blow it away. And I don't think anybody who's watched Trey Lance would say that he went out and dominated from the
absolutely not. Absolutely did not. All I'm saying is, look, if you really wanted to find out which quarterback gave you the best chance to win week one, you would do what you did with Jimmy and call the plays the way they did and set him up for success the way they've been doing for years. They're good at it. And then you would do the same for Trey Lance the way that we saw them do in practice and give him, I think, the same amount of reps with the starters and say, like, we don't know the answer. We're going to find out. But Kyle's attitude, I asked him, do you have to see Trey with the starters to find out he's like, no, I know. And I think his attitude the whole time is, I don't need to let this play out. I already know. And so what I want to do is prepare them for the way I want to use them this year. And when Trey got reps with the starters, 80% of the time he was handing off for running with the starters. And it's like, that's fine. I see that. I think what I'm saying is, I think Trey Lance with all his faults gives the Niners a better chance to win than Jimmy Garoppolo with all his faults. But what Kyle is saying is like, why don't I just combine them? Why don't I just minimize these guys' weaknesses, use each one of their strengths? And maybe it's not the best way to develop Trey Lance long term, but it's definitely the best way to win week one. And I think that might be something to that. I mean, I don't know. At least I just want to say I like the way he orchestrated it against the Raiders. I thought there was a nice rhythm using both quarterbacks. So Maybe he can pull this off. Maybe it's the right move.
I think they could pull it off. I think both guys bring different things to the table. And it's like I tweeted this out yesterday, and I think you saw it, where to go with Trey Lance, it would require Kyle Shanahan to change his way that he goes about his business, because he'd have to basically say, okay, I'm going to focus on running the ball, and we're going to run the ball 35 or more times a game. We're going to really pound it, and that's going to be our focus, and we're going to mix and match with Lance, because I think that would work, because Lance opens up the running game for the 49ers. There's no doubt about it. I mean, the 49ers running game was pretty good in 2019, even with Garoppolo on the field, and he's not even a threat. So you get that threat with Lance, and so you start to have that, and Lance doesn't limit the playbook at all. Saying that they're only going to run the ball 35 or more times and maybe only throw it 22 to 25. That's not mainly saying that they're going to limit him. That's just saying that they're going to go to their strengths, because this is a team that's built around with offensive linemen whose strength is run blocking.
Yeah,
and they have a tight end who's a tremendous run blocker. I don't understand why they don't really just go all in and go that direction. I know that Shanahan maybe runs the ball more than other teams, but we're still only talking 50-50, where I'm saying they need to be more maybe 60-40, 30, 65-35, and they could still dominate, especially with this defense they have.
Yeah, it just seems to me that, like, as you just said, Trey Lance enhances the run game. So if they're going to have like 30 handoffs in a game, he should be giving out 15 of them if this is going to be a timeshare. And then I think, which was I've been talking about, we haven't really seen the play action element of we've seen some play action. I think there's a lot of play action stuff he can do, which is a big reason that they drafted him over Justin Fields, that I think he can enhance the out of the rollout stuff and the down the field throws. So I feel like if you're going to have, I don't know, 10 to 15 play action throws a game, you might want to give him 5. But then when you get to the drop back stuff, I can understand trusting Jimmy Garoppolo more in that instance, and just instead of letting Trey Lance learn on the job week 1 and really struggle potentially, bring in Jimmy. That makes sense. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, no, that would work. That makes sense. Yeah. It's just kind of crazy when you go back to and you look at this whole scenario, and you've got Shanahan saying that he's going to rotate quarterbacks and all these kind of things, and then you hear him at halftime of the game walking off the field telling the guy. No, I don't think we're going to do this during the season. I mean,
what was that what you said about him never giving a straight answer?
Yeah, I mean, I asked him that question last Wednesday. As far as I asked him if, he's been talking all along about Trey Lance being the not going to be given the starting job until he proves that gives the 49ers the best chance to win. So I asked him that question, and what he would need to do to get there, and he went through a long answer and basically at the end said, "You'll never get a straight answer from me." And that's I think he's been doing that since the 49ers made this move up to 3.
Well, here's the way I see this playing out, Jack. It's like I've been whining a little bit that they haven't really that they've been kind of like handcuffing Trey Lance to an extent. They're basically saying, play like Jimmy. Take the title from Jimmy, playing Jimmy's game. It's like, okay, that's not fair. But okay, week 1, they're both going to play. And in week 1, Trey Lance is not going to be doing the Jimmy offense. He's going to be doing all the things that he does well. And then we'll all be able to judge for ourselves on an equal playing field with the same teammates against the same defense, which style works better. Because they're totally polar opposites. We'll be able to see. It's just Kyle didn't let us find out in practice or in preseason. He hid it from the media, and we'll have to learn week 1. But we'll see. I mean, that's when the quarterback competition really starts, in my opinion. That's when it starts. That's when it's fair.
Yeah.
Good point.
It's that at some point Lance is going to take this job over at some point. Is it going to be this year? Is it going to be next year? How does it play out? It's going to be interesting to see. And I think my only thing on it is, and the reason that I don't have a problem with the way that Shanahan's gone through this is, I believe the quarterbacks have to be able to make the plays in the pocket in order to get you to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl. I understand the scrambling, I understand the play action, but in order to get there, you've got to be able to make those plays. And so I think he's doing it to build them up for when he really needs him down the road.
That's fair. No, you're right. All I would say is, only way to improve is to get experience. And if this guy's going to take over by week 8, you might want those first 7 weeks of him kind of struggling in the pocket, but improving. Because the only thing with Jimmy is he's not improving. He's the same guy, and he's not bad, but he's not going to improve with more reps. And if you remember the Russell Wilson year, his rookie year, the way I remember was he was kind of rough the first half of the season. He could do good things on play action rollouts and some scrambling, but when it was time to deliver from the pocket, he was inconsistent. And then the second half of the year, he turned into like this really freaking good quarterback with experience and reps. So that's the only thing I would say. If Kyle does use him in a part-time thing, like do find some opportunities to give him some drop back reps where he can be set up for success because he needs it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, you're 100% correct. I mean, he's got to do something. He can't keep using, it can't be like what he did against the Raiders.
No.
He can't be sending him out there where he's out there for 9 snaps and only one of them is a throw. That cannot be the way that he's utilized. No, not at all. No. Okay. So no. We're not that far off. I don't disagree with you a whole lot on this stuff. With in terms of
disagree enough to keep it interesting.
That's right. You got to.
He's right. That's absolutely right. Jason says, how can we justify trading Jonas Griffith when he looked amazing? Dude, I'm with you on that. Hold on. We're going to get to linebackers in a minute. And I think we're done with quarterbacks for now. I just want to go through Michael. Welcome. What you talking about, Willis? Welcome.
I like that.
NM says, who's wide receiver 3? And what if we pick up Trace McSorley? Oh, McSorley. So, interesting. So while we're on the topic of quarterbacks, what do you think picking up Trace McSorley as a third guy?
I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind having him come in as not as a third team guy that's a practice squad player. He'd be a nice fit because he does a lot of. He's a super athletic guy that can, kind of fit in that mold of a Trey Lance.
I'm intrigued. I'm into it.
Yeah.
Mike, welcome. Aaron, welcome. There was one more. Here we go. Jonathan. Niners need to put a waiver claim on Tyrell Crosby now. Can be a solid swing tackle or fit well at guard to get best 5 on the field. Any opinion? Tyrell Crosby?
Not really. I mean, their starters are pretty good, and I think they'd really need Jalen Moore to be the guy. We'll talk about that when we get to the offensive lineman.
Yeah, we're going to get to the offensive lineman in a minute. Let's go to the running backs first, though. 5 running backs counting Kyle Juszczyk. They are Raheem Mostert, Trey Sermon, JaMychal Hasty, Elijah Mitchell, Juszczyk, and no Wayne Gallman. I think most people expected one of those tailbacks to get cut. Wayne Gallman was the choice. My question to you is, did they cut the right running back? And would it have been crazy for them to keep all of them?
I don't think it would have been crazy. I would have been fine if they had kept all of the running backs and gone with, maybe 10 defensive linemen instead of 11. I don't think there's really a need for 11 guys on your active roster. And I'm sure there's going to be some changes between now and next week, probably to that group. Right. But still, I would have been fine with that. But you could see on Sunday that Gallman was the odd man out. He didn't get into the field until I think there was like 12 minutes, just over 12 minutes to go in the game.
That's fine.
Especially
right before he got out there, JaMychal Hasty was just tearing it up. It was like, oh, sorry.
Yeah, and Hasty's been really good. He was good last year in the preseason. He was good this year in the preseason. He had the one fumble against the Chiefs, but other than that, he was very solid. So there's no problem there. And plus, you're going to get Jeff Wilson back, or you're hoping that you're going to get Jeff Wilson, back in the second half of the season. And he gives you that power guy like what Gallman would have given you. And you've already got some strength and power in Trey Sermon as well. So there was a little bit of duplication there. So the thing that I do like about the Hasty is he gives you that speed. He gives you a speed similar to Raheem Mostert. He's probably the second most explosive guy in the backfield.
I love Hasty. I liked him since last year, and I think he's improved since last year. I think he's much bigger. He looks more like an NFL player. Last year, he looked like an undrafted free agent who was promising. Now he looks like a guy who might have got drafted in the 4th or 5th round, something like that. He's very strong for a 5'7" scat back who can make those little jump cuts and fall forward on contact. I think he's a hell of an undrafted free agent guy, a nice player in the rotation who can be effective from the pistol formation kind of stuff. Because those kind of guys I feel like need to be able to do a lot of stop starting, and that's what Sermon, Mitchell, him can do. Mostert's more. Well, Mostert, they have the combination of Mostert and Trace Lance in that game against the Raiders, where Lance would fake it and go up the middle. Mostert ran around the edge. That's tough to stop. It was tough to stop.
Yeah, you watch the play and you have Mostert sprinting around one end and there's nobody, and he's beating the end who's unblocked to the corner, and then you've got Trey Lance. So if he keeps the ball, he can run it probably for a touchdown up the. I mean, there was holes.
There's no wrong answer.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it helps when Max Crosby, and that's Max Crosby, true. Right? And
blowing the Raiders off the ball.
And Yannick Ngakoue aren't on the field, but it's still, I think staying with the running backs, and Elijah Mitchell is going to be a heck of a kickoff returner, I think, or at least he showed. Yeah. I think that kind of helped make that move because he had 2 nice returns.
Let me say one thing real quick though. The reason I think the Niners should have kept Gallman Is it because they necessarily need 5 running backs? Although running backs get hurt all the time. That all the Niners running backs have injury histories, and you don't know what's going to happen with Jeff Wilson Jr. But it's just, I feel like he's going to go to the Ravens or the Rams. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're not interested in him at all. But you just helped out the Ravens or the Rams. They were desperate. They were down, and you just gave Sean McVay, a life preserver because he had you on his podcast. You didn't need to do that. That's a real nice, that was really generous of you. You should have kept him just to screw over the Rams. I'm just saying that's what I would have done. And I feel like we could go through the roster, but you could pick out 3, 4, 5 guys who aren't crucial to this team who probably could have made it to the practice squad. So I know you don't normally keep 5 tailbacks. I've never heard of a team keeping 5 tailbacks, but it's not a bad problem to have, especially when you were starting Jerick freaking McKinnon last year. Kyle.
Oh yeah, this group is so much better than last year's group.
All right, 6 wide receivers. They are Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Trent Sherfield, Mohamed Sanu, Jalen Hurd, Jawan Jennings. What are your thoughts?
The first 4, I like the first 4. I mean, I think Trent Sherfield, he's been the story of camp. He's really been their 3rd best wide receiver because of his explosiveness. He's definitely a more explosive receiver than Mohamed Sanu. Mm-hmm. Jalen Hurd, I don't really understand the Jalen Hurd piece. He doesn't look like he has anything left. I mean, I know that he has the ability to run. I know he has the ability to run, play as a running back or take the ball on handoffs and things like that, or, play wide receiver, but he doesn't have that stop-start ability that they really need for a guy that can do that. He's not the guy that they drafted in 2019.
No, he looked lacking in explosion. I know that Trey Lance throws just a really tough ball to catch. Catch the ball, Jalen. You wanted to be a wide receiver. The first one hit you in both hands. The second one, you had to slide for it. Both bad throws for sure. Catch it, man. I'm just saying. I don't. And here's my main issue with Hurd. Like comparing him to Gallman. I feel like the reason they signed Gallman is because he was durable last year. He stepped up when people got hurt, and you could count on him. He's not flashy, but he was durable. And you got rid of him to keep Jalen Hurd, who's been healthy for a week. What if he gets hurt tomorrow? Would you be surprised? It's just, okay. It just seems like, on the other hand, they stuck by Jalen Hurd for 2 years, and he's finally healthy. So it would be kind of weird getting rid of him at this time. I understand. How about keep them both, huh? Just saying. Okay, but how about Jawan Jennings? Did they need to keep 6 wide receivers? Had they cut Mr. Jennings, who was a 7th round pick and ran a 4.7? Would some team put him on their 53? That's where I wonder. Because last year they cut him and no one did.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Yeah, probably not. But I would rather have seen. I would rather if you're gonna keep go with 5 receivers or go that route, then you do that with Jalen Hurd because he doesn't have that. You've seen. At least you've seen Jennings be able to catch a screen and explode up the field. True. Whereas Hurd, he does that. He gets the ball, and it just looks like he's in slow motion. He doesn't have anything in his legs. Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like Rocky and on the beach with
with Apollo in slow motion.
Absolutely. That's pretty good. Whew. Yep, that's what I thought. Yeah. Okay. So, look, and also Sanu, he's not bad, but got a lot of pub right off the bat, and I thought Trent Sherfield outperformed him the whole way.
Oh yeah, no, Sherfield was the guy who nobody was expecting, and he came on and he just made play after play after play. On a regular basis, he was doing it. He was solid all throughout, and he's their 3rd best receiver on the team.
Yeah, I don't think they really need to use the 4 through 6 guys that much. I think their top 3 guys are terrific when healthy, and I don't see a role. You could throw a screen pass to Jawan Jennings or Deebo. It's like, I don't know. Their depth, though. That's okay. Here we have an interesting question from Peripheral Vision. I think we can use John Brown. Thanks for the show. He's been around a long time. He played with the Cardinals. Recently, he played with the Bills. Real quick, I love this idea. I don't know what happened with him on the Raiders, and he's getting a little bit older, but I always thought he was really effective. And he has experience playing with Josh Allen, who's might be the only person in the league who throws a harder pass than Trey Lance. So I don't know if no one else wants him, it couldn't hurt. Take me for a workout.
Yeah, no, you bring him in for a workout and give him a shot. Maybe he's the guy that you use to replace Sanu. I know that it's just that goes against what
You need some speed. You
yeah.
need three big slot receivers.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing, right? Because that big
Yeah,
slot receiver kind of is what they're going to do, and I don't think we're really going to see Jalen Hurd dressed out very much. I think
I would agree with that.
and you're looking at Jennings as a guy that can help out in special teams, and I don't know about Sanu. Who's going to return kicks? Or who's going to return punts?
Yeah,
We'll get to that.
I
I
don't know.
think well,
John Brown. I'm looking over here. He had almost 500 receiving yards last year when Josh Allen targeted him. His quarterback rating was 110. I always liked John Brown. I felt like he gets open, he's fast, he catches the ball, which are
mm-hmm.
really good qualities for an NFL wide receiver. I don't
Yeah,
know.
he's always been kind of a solid number 3 guy. That guy that
Yeah,
kind of comes. Yeah,
I always
that's
thought he was like better than Trent Sherfield, who I'd never really heard of until recently. But it'd be nice to have. He's a lot like Trent Sherfield, basically. A lot like Trent Sherfield, I would say.
yeah,
Couldn't
yeah. I
hurt.
mean, yeah, he was more productive than Trent Sherfield in his career up until this point. That's for darn sure.
Yes, 320 career catches. I think Trent Sherfield has 6, 8, 10, 11, something. I don't know. Maybe 20. I'm not trying to
No,
minimize Trent. He looks good.
yeah. He doesn't have very many
He's like
receptions.
15.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's under. I think it's yeah.
Mark says, I think Hurd goes on short-term IR tomorrow. No, they could have put him on already. I think. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe he will. You're right. I don't know. Rules. Red zone lineup, Hurd, Sanu, Jennings. You want to take Ayuk and Debo off the field in the red zone. I would keep him on. I would keep him
Yeah, I, I
on.
think I think yeah, I think you might want to do that because those are 3 of
Those are
your
pretty good
best.
players. Yeah.
Yeah,
3 tight ends. This is interesting. 3
yeah,
tight ends. George Kittle, Ross Dwelly, Charlie Werner. Usually a run first team that uses a lot of 2 tight end sets, that has goal line 3 tight end sets, keeps a fourth one, because if you lose the third, then you can't use the goal line set, or you got to bring in an offensive lineman. Or anyway, they only went with 3. They felt they had 3 NFL caliber ones. What do you think?
yeah. This one is all about. I think Pruitt was a guy who I thought would make the roster. They'd give him $500,000, in a signing bonus. But he was injured, and that really slowed him down. I think that injury cost him a spot on the roster, and uh, even at that, I don't really see Charlie Warner being better than him. Really,
Yeah.
Charlie Warner, he wasn't very good last year, so it'll be. I'm interested. They've got two good receiving tight ends, and they've got a mediocre run blocking tight end. So I'm surprised a little bit by that one, but that goes back to them needing to keep 6 receivers and keep, uh, whatever, the
Yeah.
11 defensive linemen.
Yeah. I feel like what happened here is they didn't need to keep Jordan Matthews. He can go to the practice squad if they want. They didn't need to keep Michael Pruitt. I don't think anyone else is going to take Michael Pruitt. They can put him on the practice squad if they want. Only
Mm-hmm.
thing I would say is keep going. What about Charlie Werner? I mean, he's on this team because the Niners felt they needed a certain number of tight ends, not because he's good. I mean, we've seen him. No offense, but Caden Smith is better than Charlie Werner. Caden
Yeah,
Smith is the guy that they cut, who's now on the Giants. I'm not sure that Charlie Warner would have got put on anyone else's 53-man roster. I'm not sure, like, the Bengals are over there looking like, oh man, we were going to pick up Warner. I'm guessing he would have been put on the practice squad, and then you could have brought him up as one of your 2 guys every. They didn't need to keep Warner, in my opinion. I don't think he's good. So I'm just nitpicking here, but that's what I do.
no, that's fine. That's
Yeah.
totally fine. I understand that. I mean, I would have liked to have seen him keep Jordan Matthews myself.
Yeah.
Jordan Matthews gives him, I think, but if you could have
He's
got.
better at what he does than Warner is at what supposedly whatever he's supposed to do.
Yeah, I think Jordan Matthews is better at tight end than Jalen Hurd as a wide receiver too. I mean, I would have been fine keeping 5 receivers and keeping 4 tight ends and having Matthews be that fourth one, because he could. You've seen him work against linebackers and safeties in training camp and be able to beat those guys one-on-one. So he would have been an upgrade over what they got last year out of Jordan Reed.
How long before Jalen Hurd puts on 20 pounds and calls himself a tight end?
Right.
A
Yeah.
year? 6 months?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. Probably.
I
Right.
agree. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Jordan Matthews had a underrated training camp, and I think what you're saying is probably true. I think he's probably better than Jalen Hurd right now. I just want to put that on the record. Trey, says came in late, so this might have been covered. But how do you feel about getting rid of Gallman? We if Mostert goes down, we suck with rookie and very young backs. Yeah, we both feel like we would have kept Coleman, and there are ways to do it. But the good news is the 4 backs they kept are good. 4 is a lot. Jeff Wilson Jr. is coming back. It's not. I shouldn't cost them any games. I just feel like they just helped another team out unnecessarily, essentially.
Yeah, and that was going to be the case though with if they got rid of one of those guys eventually. I think,
true.
But
you're right, Johnny. He was a tight end at Harvard for sure. Okay, moving on.
And they use him in that role sometimes.
They do. They certainly do. 8 offensive linemen. Only 8. It used to be. It seems like a low number, but it's hard to find quality NFL offensive linemen. And some of the guys who made this team, it's like, wow, you were one of the 8. Okay, let me name who they are. Okay, no, I'm not going to go there yet. Trent Williams, Mike McGlinchey, Jalen Moore, Tom Compton. Those are the tackles. The guards, Brunskill, Laken Tomlinson, Aaron Banks in the center, Alex Mack. They cut Colton McKivitz. I applaud him for that. This is the same. Like Colton McKivitz is in the Charlie Warner category for me. Like you drafted him, you wanted to like him. He showed nothing. Move on. You're a good team. It's fair to cut 5th and 6th and 7th round picks. You're a good team. So good for you. He didn't show anything. Yeah. What do you think? These 8.
Tom Compton. Wow. Tom Compton. I think does Tom Compton make this roster?
Just keep 7 offensive linemen, man. He's not 8. He's 7.5.
Yeah, no, it's bad. I mean, there's no reason to keep Tom Compton. I mean, the only reason to keep Tom Compton, and I caught it on Saturday or Sunday, was because he has the ability to play guard and tackle because he played a little bit of guard on Sunday. Yeah, but he's not. You're right. He's not good at it.
He's a body.
Yeah, it is. It's that ability. I think he has a little bit more flexibility though to go back and forth than what McKivitz does. I think that's the only reason there. They really need Jalen Moore
to kept Tom Compton over their 5th round pick from last year. Wow. I mean, hey, good for you, man. I talk a lot of crap, but you took that kid's job. That was wow.
Yeah, that's another way to look at it. I mean, is Compton gonna be better ever than Colton McKivitz? Really? I mean, neither one of those guys were really good, but I think he would. Poor guy,
Colton.
Yeah. But do they really need Jalen Moore to step up and show that he can play guard? I know they originally drafted him to play guard, but he spent all of training camp at tackle. But they really need him to be the guy, the backup.
Draft better offensive lineman, yo. They gave up on Colton McKivitz immediately. Then they come back this year and draft Jalen Moore in the same round. Moore looks okay so far, but come on. They've had some whiffs on the offensive line, and Aaron Banks, not saying anything yet, but not a promising debut. So, yikes. This is a tough position. It seems like some teams do a better job. Like the Packers, for example. They'll have like 5th round picks, like David Bakhtiari, turn into good players. The Niners should maybe get that offensive line coach from over there or something. I don't know.
Maybe think about it because that is something that they really struggle with because McKivitz should be better than Compton.
Yeah,
it should be. And Aaron Banks, we've seen Aaron Banks and he's struggling. Yeah. Jalen Moore is the best of the backups. That's why I kind of said he needs to really step up. He needs to be the 6th guy.
Well, now that they have a super swing tackle in Tom Compton, they can move Jalen Moore to guard and have their best 5 on the field. So it all works out. That's the value of Tom Compton. Who personally is your top training camp performers who deserve their spot? Players playing their first season on the team. Yeah, I would have liked to see Jared Maiden get a spot, and we're going to talk about him in a little bit. Anyone pop off top of your head?
No, that's a really good one. I said it earlier with Trent Sherfield. I think he
got it.
He's probably the main guy because he just came in and he just took over camp. He was the talk of camp, really.
No doubt, he was. Yeah, for sure. Thomas Tyler Brendel looked like a keeper over Compton.
He showed improvement at center over the course of the time that he was, between game 1 and game 3. He definitely had some improvement out of him.
You got snubbed, Jake. The coach says, love the 53. Hurd deserves a healthy shot. I know you feel that way. You made a good point. Griffith being moved over Harris was hard to swallow. Yeah, I disagree with that one. Jeff Wilson over Gallman makes sense. Yeah, it's true. Although, again, the main allure with Gallman was durability, straight up. Jeff Wilson doesn't have that. Maiden won't clear waivers. Yeah, that's my problem there.
Mm-hmm.
Who the hell is Devontae Harris? I had no idea. I had 52 members on the. I was like, who did I forget? And I
Uh-huh.
was like, wow, I didn't even know that guy. 40. I don't think I ever remember seeing him in a preseason game.
Yeah, that's the guy they got when they released uh,
Oh yeah.
the quarterback out of UCLA.
Oh my guy,
They, they
Josh
they
Rosen.
they got rid of Josh Rosen and they brought in Harris that same
That's
day.
right. That is true. That is true. I
Yeah.
guess I was in mourning about Rosen. I didn't register. Sorry, Devontae. I didn't give you
Yeah,
a chance.
I don't remember seeing him on the field, so I don't
Me
blame you for
neither.
missing him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. 11 defensive linemen. Let me see if I can list them off the top of my head. Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead, Javon Kinlaw, Samson Ebukam, DJ Jones, D Ford, Contavious Street, Zach Kerr, Kevin Givens, Arden Key, Maurice Hurst. I did it.
Yep.
What do you think?
It's a good group. It's a good group. I mean, this is probably the deepest. I think this is the deepest defensive line in the league. 1 through 11. These guys are all pretty darn good. I don't think there's going to be I don't think there's going to be anybody better any team in the league that has better group than they do. So they're pretty well off. And then they have Jordan Willis, who's
Right.
on the reserve list that they're going to be bringing back down the road too. So that's a really strong group.
Yeah. The thing that's funny about it is you said earlier, like they probably didn't need 11 defensive linemen. I look at it the other way. Like, I don't like looking at like how many numbers you need at positions. I just want the best 53, and I think Darian Daniels is a good player. That's another one. He's right there with Jared Maiden. I think he's been on and off. Has he ever been on the active roster?
I think he might have been right at the end of last year.
I think he deserved a shot. He's good. I think he's a hell of a player. And when he goes one-on-one against Alex Mack, he wins sometimes. He's a good player. And if another team is out there watching, sign Darian Daniels. That guy deserves a real game check, not the practice squad stuff, man. That guy should get paid. Just saying.
Yeah. Well, even Yarbrough had a good
point.
Preseason,
Yes.
This whole group.
Alex Barrett. Yes.
Yeah. That whole group was
yes.
So
Chris
I don't know.
is really freaking good.
Yeah, that's what. That's exactly that guy.
Really freaking good.
He might be the best coach on the Frontiers defense, really. D'Amico Ryans is pretty darn good. He's proven, shown himself.
No, for sure. Yeah, I don't know if Chris Kosorik's a big picture guy like D'Amico, but just in terms of teaching and improving your position group, this guy is. I mean, who's better than him in the league? His track record is nice. I've just gotten to know him, but wow, he has like 100% success rate. He's like, oh man. The guy in Stand and Deliver, he's like teaching calculus to all these kids. He's like, how can I reach these kids? You know what I'm saying? And he does.
Yeah, exactly. No, he's if I would love to play with that guy. That's all play for that guy. That's all I kept thinking every time I'd watch him practice because he's just from the moment practice starts till it's done, he's go full speed the whole time. And those are the kind of guys that you really want to have on your defensive side.
Yes, absolutely. If I missed your question, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Gold Rush says, 49ers finally have depth at defensive line and halfback for the whole year. Still think they need to make a move at deadline for another cornerback. That room is way too thin. Yeah, it could help. It couldn't hurt. Depth at corner, depth at offensive line. They don't really have it. It couldn't hurt. Unless you love Diamador. Diamador actually looks like one of the better draft picks on this year so far.
I really like. I think Lenore's going to be a keeper for them for a while. I think he's really good. Thomas is all over the board.
That tackle.
That was awful. That was awful. That was just awful. And that's he's struggled. He's been up and down. He's been all over the board throughout training camp. He was way down and he kind of worked his way back up. And I thought he played good in the first game, not quite so good the second. And then against the Raiders, that's just a terrible play.
The coach says, "Do we really have 11 D linemen? Ford, Bosa, Hurst, Ebukam, all questionable until we see otherwise. I think we threw a lot of bodies at a problem." Good point. Plus, they could have used one more body in Darian Daniels. But yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I think
Jordan Willis coming back.
I think part of that is just because you haven't seen what Ford and Bosa have been doing on the practice field. These guys look good, really, really good.
That's true.
But especially Bosa, he almost can't practice because he's too dominant with the offense. He just blows them up. So,
one more thing I want to say before we move on: Javon Kinlaw.
Yeah, he's. Yeah, the B word is definitely going to be circling around with him. He's a guy who he's a run playing defensive tackle, has shown no ability to rush the passer, took no snaps during one-on-one pass rushing drills during training camp. He was out there until the second half and against the Raiders, through the whole first half against the Raiders. got no pressure, just and even and he, I don't know, he seemed like he was pretty frustrated himself after the game
You know what he
with
is to
everything
me?
that's going on.
He's a bigger Solomon Thomas. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think you're probably right.
Javon, please prove me wrong. I hate writing off a 23-year-old. I thought Yarbrough played well. Yeah, me too. That dude looked good. I think if they get him on the practice squad, he could be someone that makes a team next year. For sure.
Yeah.
Khalil says, do you think that Nate cut proves Trey's injury is not serious at all? He's going to be on the practice squad. I think Nate's so bad that they knew that no one's going to pick this guy up. We're the only people that like Nate Sudfeld.
Yeah, I don't think it proves anything one way or another.
They just know. Yeah. Okay. 5 linebackers. They are Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, Azeez Al-Shaair, Marcel Harris, Demetrius Flanagan-Foles. The standout of camp, Jonas Griffith, second-year undrafted free agent, traded for a 6th-round pick, which is a nice little return for someone who you didn't even spend a draft pick on. On the other hand, he looked good. He looked like he had promise, maybe even more than Azeez Al-Shaair or Demetrius Flanagan-Foles. I don't know. What do you think about the 5 they decided to keep?
Yeah, I think Marcel Harris is probably the worst of those guys. He does he struggled as a safety because he overran plays and bit on the run too much, and he does the same thing at linebacker, and he makes plays every once in a while, but he's not. He's easily their the 4th or 5th best linebacker if you want with what they have up. He's a special teams.
Yeah, I don't think you put him on your defense.
You've got in Flanagan, Foles, and Harris, you have 2 guys that were college safeties that are playing linebacker. And they're okay. I think Flanagan Foles is okay. He's okay. Definitely right in that same ballpark as the other guy. Harris, special teams guy. He's not anything special really.
Yeah, the way I look at it is Al-Shaair, maybe he's like a number 3 linebacker, but not someone you want in your nickel defense as your top 2 guys. And I don't think Flanagan Foles has that potential. I don't think Marcel Harris has that potential. I thought Griffith did. I thought he looked like someone with real potential. Now, I'm no expert here, but it seemed like the Niners maybe agreed to, and they felt, well, he would bring us back the most in a trade. So let's trade our most valuable one. Well, fair enough. We'll see. I think he had something. He's big. He's tall. He's got long arms. I think he could be someone who's good on special teams and defense. So we'll see.
Wasn't that why they traded DeForest Buckner and kept Eric Armstead?
They're consistent. They're nothing if not consistent, and successful with these things.
You're right. Because that was the argument you got all the time. That was the argument always with that whole move was, well, they could get something for Buckner, but they couldn't get anything for Armstead. Well, that should show you something about who the player is here.
There's a reason. There's a reason. Wilson over Haha. I disagree. We needed Simba. Yeah, we didn't mention Simba. That's another guy they could have kept. I felt he looked good when he got opportunities, but maybe he'll get to the practice squad. We're going to talk about the safeties next. Pick up Cam as Trey's backup. We didn't talk about this. Something happens with Jimmy sooner than later. I get the feeling that Cam, while he probably got cut partially because he's unvaccinated, I think he doesn't want to be a backup. I think it's pretty clear that he has this big chip on his shoulder and wants, like Josh Rosen, wants an opportunity to prove himself and isn't going to be the good soldier on the bench carrying a clipboard. So I don't know if this is a good situation for him. I mean, it wasn't a good situation for Rosen.
Yeah, I don't think he wants to be a backup. I think that would be, and I really don't even think that he's the kind of quarterback that Kyle Shanahan wants. I know it sounds crazy when you talk about Trey Lance, right? And what Trey Lance brings to the table, but Trey Lance is he's younger. He's showed the ability to play from the pocket and things like that. Cam Newton is 30 something years old and he's still trying to play like he's 20 something and he can't do it.
Well put. Agree. All right, 6 cornerbacks. They are Jason Verrett, Emmanuel Mosley, K'Wan Williams, Diamador Lenore, Ambry Thomas, and someone named Devontae Harris, who we were all expecting to be Dante Johnson. And it's possible that there was a clerical error, and instead of writing Dante, they wrote Devontae, and they were so embarrassed. They were like, well, let's just roll with it. I don't know. What do you think of this 6?
The first 4 I'm really feel pretty good about. The starters are really good. Diamador Lenore, I think, is going to be a starter for this team next year.
Mm.
in a couple of different positions. And uh, I haven't given up on Ambry Thomas quite as much as everybody else. I still like him. I just think he needs
Yeah, I do too.
he needs to continue to improve. So I think that's a group. When we were looking at this back around right after the draft, we're like, ooh, that might be a tough one there because what are you going to do if any of those starters get hurt? But I think Lenore's shown that he could probably be a decent starter if he needs to be, and Thomas could be a
At two
solid backup.
spots. He looks like he could play the nickel too, which is clutch.
Yeah, and he just does such a good job of just getting up on top of guys and being able to run with them. So I'm
Yes.
really impressed with him. I didn't know enough about him, uh,
Mm-hmm.
after the draft and stuff like that to really uh, have much of a feel for him. But as we've seen him out there, he's done really well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that brings us to Devontae Harris. Now, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe he's really good. I guess he played for Fangio. That's something. I think.
Did he play for?
Did he?
I don't know.
I don't
I
know.
know he came from Baltimore. I don't know
I
where he
don't
was
know
before.
anything about. He was in Baltimore. He's been on some teams. I don't know. I think they could have went with 5 corners here, but maybe he's great at special teams.
Yeah, well, yeah. Hopefully he is. That's probably the only way he's going to get on the field. So hopefully he is.
I guess I want to. My instinct is to go through the roster and make a list of players that are on this team that wouldn't be on any other team. I think the Niners are too good to have a Devontae Harris on their team because I don't think anyone else wants. He was available on the couch, and the Niners picked him up late August. I don't know, man.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, that's an interesting one because I don't even recognize the guy's name or anything like that, or even remember seeing 40 on the field.
No,
other than Josh when it was Josh Hokett.
That's right. Who knew? Lil Lord Stewie says, did Sunday's game against the Raiders look like a Super Bowl team? They went against the Raiders backups. Yeah, these preseason games, trying to analyze them is a fool's errand. Come on.
Yeah, the 49ers are a good team, but don't take anything out of what you saw on Sunday. No. I think that's going to transition to the regular season. I don't think.
I really think the Niners haven't shown their play action package yet. I mean, they've shown some stuff, but it's very basic. And they've shown a little bit of their zone read stuff, but when they get all of that going together, it's going to be fantastic. Can't wait.
Yeah, this is going to be a really good team.
Yeah.
It's going to be a fun team to watch. I can't wait to really see them, week 1.
It's going to be the best 2-quarterback team ever. Imagine if they go into the playoffs with this setup and they actually go on a run, and every drive they got guys going, they got 5 and 10 switching off, tag teaming. Wouldn't that be freaking cool if it worked? It would be kind of cool if they were like a WWF tag team and they just happen to do it. It would be pretty cool. Yeah.
It'd be like, who was it? I think I heard this week was the Dolphins. I think it was in '82 were the last team to do something like this. When they went to the Super Bowl, it was a strike short year, and they had Don Strock and David Woodley, and they were rotating. I think they're rotating every series.
Here's the thing. Well, I know we're not supposed to talk about quarterbacks. We're going to get there. But I wrote an article about this last year about why I think this is actually kind of the future of football, of offensive football. Now, I never thought it would be one guy making $27 million, the other guy the third pick. The whole idea is this is a good way to go cheap at the position. You go do the committee, same at running back. And if you got a guy who's really just an outside the pocket zone read guy, which is kind of what Lance is right now, that's fine. You can work with that. And if you got a guy who's like Jimmy, who's really limited outside the pocket, but he's pretty good inside the pocket, well, good. You can use them both. It's just, it's a very expensive quarterback room. If the Niners have success, other teams could do it in a more cost-effective way. I'm excited. This is a good thing for football, I think.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, it's something that they can do. It's going to be interesting to see how this whole thing plays out and how long they can actually pull this off. It's going to be, that's what I'm interested in seeing.
Yeah. How long is it tenable? Coach says, okay, I got to go. One last thing, Grant. What happened to Ambry being the best corner in this team outside of Verrett after you saw 3 good reps in camp? Laughing. My bad. I was wrong. What I want to say about Ambry is he's good in the one-on-ones, which is why I won't write him off. He wins reps against Debo. So I know he's figuring it out. That tackle, whoo!
Well, that's what's frustrating with him though, is because he does that in practice against Debo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk and those guys, but then he gets into the game and he can't close that gap like he does in practice. He needs to carry that over to the games.
So I think it will translate eventually. Anyway, anyone who can win those one-on-ones as a corner, I'm interested in because it's really difficult. Like for example, Lenore gets worked in that drill, and he's still good. He can find a way to make a positive impact in 11 on 11s. Ambry is the one breaking up passes in that drill, and he's just lost in 11 on 11s. Dante Pettis was the one-on-one all-star too. It doesn't always mean you can play 11 on 11 football, but Dante's issue was I don't think he liked the idea of running across the middle. He didn't know where the hit was coming from. He didn't want to do that. Ambry, I can't say what his issue. Why is it not translating for him? Is it just he's like doing different? He's basically saying, "Look, I'm used to playing press man and cover 2, and this is different." So it's like new techniques.
Yeah, I think he just kind of gets caught in between them when they're in full team drills. I think he just kind of gets in between there.
Yeah, good question, Coach. NM says 49ers should trade for Beathard a lot of.
That's a great one. That's awesome.
Absolutely. Ramon says before end of show, can you do a practice squad prediction? What is it? 16 people? No, that's terrible. I can't do that.
We don't even know. We don't even know the rules.
Yeah, no, it's so hard. Okay, it's 5 safeties.
Something like that.
Is it 5 safeties? Hold on, it's 4 safeties.
4 safeties.
Hold on. Oh my God, I got it. That's a terrible typo. Wait, hold on.
The only way there's 5 safeties is if they kept Maiden.
I wanted them to keep. I was trying. I think I just wanted.
That's why.
Okay.
That's why you put that down.
All right, 4 safeties. They are Jimmy Ward, Jaquaski Tart, right at the buzzer, Tavon Wilson, Talanoa Hufanga, and not Jared Maiden. What do you think of the 4 they kept?
Hufanga is going to be a starter for this team at some point, either this year. He's definitely going to be the starter next year. He's going to be replacing Jaquaski Tart.
Yeah,
he's shown that he's got the versatility to play both safety positions. So he's the most versatile guy on this behind those first 2. So he's definitely more versatile than Tavon Wilson, that's for sure. So he's the third guy off the bench. Wilson, I think, is primarily going to be a special teams contributor. That's what you're going to see out of. That's how they're going to use Hufanga until he gets into the starting lineup. But my thing,
2 safeties here, real quick. Wilson and Tart.
Yes.
Wilson, okay. You kept Wilson over Maiden. Wilson's like a vet. Maiden's only getting better. What is the difference between them now? And if they lose Maiden because they kept Wilson, that's hard. And then to me, Tart is terrific. But dude, he gets hurt all the time. All the time. He's like as injury prone as any player in the team, if not more. And if and when that happens again, you're gonna say like,
yeah.
How much did we get out of Jaquaski Tart? Did we get 6 weeks this year? 7? 5? That's usually what you get from Tart. Half a season, if that. So I don't know, man.
Yeah, no, there's got to be something though going on with Maiden because they were putting Clinton Dix in there ahead of him the last 2 games. So there was something that they didn't really like about him, even though he was making plays and he seemed to always be around the ball. I don't really know where he was falling short with him.
Me neither. I don't know. Maybe it's a Darius Moore thing where they feel he doesn't tackle well or track the ball well because it seems like he's in the right place and covered. I don't know.
Yeah, it seems like he's always around the ball. He's doing the right things. But I'm hoping that they bring him back on the practice squad. I know, you mentioned I think already that he might not make it back because of his talent, but he's a guy that I hope they can find a way to get back.
Yeah, absolutely. Him, Darian Daniels, 2 NFL quality caliber players that are kind of the Niners' secret right now. If they're lucky, they will be able to bring him back to the practice squad. Ravens phased in Lamar Jackson using packages. That's what the Niners will do with Trey Lance. Watch. Trey Lance had a lot more experience throwing than Lance. I think Lance, what we're seeing from Lance is a guy who's like remedial in the pocket. It's a little alarming sometimes how he can't hit easy throws. Now he can hit some hard ones too, but you can't really trust him in the pocket right now. And boy, he could use some reps. I don't know. We'll see how they do. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not even. Yeah. It's the rep. It's not seeing the not throwing it to the right guys and
everything.
He's all over the board with his balls too.
Yeah, but it's like you knew this is what he was. He was inexperienced, and you had a vision for him. And we know it's not what you did in preseason. We've seen what the vision is, and you had him work on his weaknesses in preseason. We talked about this earlier. Anyway, I think all I want to say is I think they've structured it so that the quarterback competition is about to begin. If they're really going to split time, and we don't know, but if they're really going to split time in a real game with the same teammates against the same team, well, that sounds like a fair competition. And okay, cool. I'm excited. I'll watch that. I'm in. I'm up for it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're gonna do it or they're not because we've
yeah,
heard both things out
that's
of the head
true.
coach. So
That's true. We could do this. We might not. Don't believe a word I say. Fair enough, Kyle. We won't.
yeah, you're never getting a
Yeah,
straight answer out of me.
yeah, pretty much. All
Hmm.
right, guys. Well, that's our show. Thanks very much for watching our 53-man roster special.
We don't talk about specialists around here. There's no kickers,
Oh, should we
punters,
talk
or
about the specialist?
no. I'm just giving you a hard time.
For
Grant.
Robbie, should we hear real quick for Robbie because Robbie's a big fan of the show.
Well, Robbie
Um,
missed how many uh, you know extra points did he miss during the
Two,
preseason?
but I think it was last week we told him that the key is to just kick them more accurately, and I think to his credit, he took our advice and started doing that. So I want to commend him for doing his job better. Good job, Robbie.
There you go. And then I think you can't pass up the opportunity to talk about Mitch Wishnowski. I mean, those punts that he had on Saturday. I mean, those are probably the best punts that he's had in his career.
Yes.
He had a couple of them that were just he blasted those suckers.
Yes. One more thing I want to say. I don't know if we've told, but you were there at practice when they had a special teams period and they started blasting that gangster rap Robbie Gould song.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm not going to do it, but basically the premise is the theme, the chorus is I think I'm Robbie Gould, I'm rich like Robbie Gould, got it made like Robbie Gould, stuff like that. Like being Robbie Gould is the coolest thing you could do or be. I think it was a Chicago. He must be a legend in Chicago. All I'm saying is they were playing that song and all the players on the team were giggling. It was very funny. Robbie Gould is one of the richest, most accomplished, best players on this roster. And you forget about him, but it's like, yeah, he's worth like $40 million. He's going to be in consideration for the Hall of Fame. He's almost 40 years old. Like, I'm sure there's some kids on the team like, damn, that's Robbie Gould right there. Wow. I used to play with him in Madden. He's really good. He's so consistent. Past 45 yards, you're kind of rolling the dice, but inside 45, he's money.
Yeah, that's about right too.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's good if you're good inside 45. That's what you need.
Yeah. Well, that's where you're getting most of them from, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Thayer says everyone says Lance is throwing too hard in the wobble, causing drops. Did he have this issue in college? He had a high pass percentage. Yeah. You've talked to his coach about this. What's up with the wobble, Jack?
He's just not. He's not. It's a follow through. Really, is what it is.
Okay.
It's that full extension on the hand, and you got to pronate the wrist. I don't know if
in practice, he makes a big thing about it. You can see him like following through across his body and
he's always kind of working on like this and different things. Yeah, he's always working on it.
He lets it go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the biggest thing I would say here, when you compare it, and I don't know because I haven't been on the sidelines at a North Dakota State game, but the NFL football is so hard. Mm-hmm. That ball is extremely hard. It's harder than any football that I've ever grabbed.
That's why Tom Brady allegedly. I'm just kidding.
Right. So I wonder if that might play a little bit into it because even though he was throwing wobblers there, and obviously he wasn't throwing the NFL caliber guys, I wonder if the ball was a little bit softer. Even if the PSI is the same, it doesn't mean that the leather is the same. You know what I mean? It could still be a little bit softer and easier to grab onto because the NFL balls are really hard and slick.
I can't even throw a high school ball. It's way too big. But Nerf balls, I got. I'm just saying, if you want to play sometime.
Yeah.
The coach says, Jack, what?
Yeah, go ahead. I was going to say, Coach Johnson had a great idea yesterday. He said that you and I should go out there and throw balls together. The only thing I didn't like about that was he said I was going to throw ducks, which I don't throw ducks. I don't know why he.
You don't know, Jack.
I don't know why I don't know where he gets that idea from. I'm ready to go out there right now and start throwing some balls around to show you guys. But
you might have to track him down in New Jersey and just pelt him a few times.
Either that or we're going to have to like show up and do something like before one of the games in the parking lot. Have you running at me? And I'll throw the ball at you and we'll show everybody how good your hands are.
No, I think what should happen is Trey Lance should throw 10-yard passes at me as hard as he can, and I'll show everyone on the 49ers how it's done. Okay, I'll take one for the team. It'll be like Happy Gilmore, where you just stand there and take it off your.
That'd be like those old Vernon Glenn clips back on Channel 4 back in the day when they used to do like Mr. Involvement.
Yeah, that's old school. The coach says, Jack, you've come a long way, showing more of your personality. I'm happy for you, bro. And yeah, I guess Grant's all right. Well, thanks. That was a very sweet comment for us to go out on. Jack, thank you very much. It was a great show. Just kidding. Josh says I watched both pro days today and there was no wobble. No wobble. It's Wobble Watch. We are on Wobble Watch.
Wobble, wobble.
Wobble, wobble. Thanks, everyone. We're out. See you tomorrow.